American Africans. Unlike many of my fellow American Africans who are caught up in the emotionalism of election 2024, I'm not caught up in the emotionalism of election 2024. If it's one thing political science has taught me, you cannot be emotional when making political decisions. You cannot be emotional when conducting political analysis. 4 things came out very clearly to me in Vice President Harris's lecture. And for my Democratic Party plantation slaves, I am neither pro-Trump nor pro-Harris. I want to be very clear. I am neither pro-Trump nor pro-Harris. I want to be very, very clear. I am neither pro-Trump or pro-Harris. Let me make this very, very clear. The reason Vice President Harris gets more attention is because the black bourgeoisie, the coon Illuminati, the untalented 10th, the Negro aristocracy is actively selling Vice President Harris to the American African community. The bourgeoisie, the untalented 10th, the coon Illuminati, the Negro aristocracy is trying to shame American Africans into voting for Vice President Harris. So she's going to get more attention because we already know what the Donald Trump agenda is for African people, and it's not good. We already know what the Donald Trump agenda is for the American African people, and it's not good. We already know what the Donald Trump agenda is for the American African, and it's not good. But the black bourgeoisie, particularly the celebrity elite of the Negro aristocracy, the celebrity elite of the Negro aristocracy, the celebrity elite of the Negro aristocracy is trying to sell us Vice President Harris. So what are the 4 themes that came out in Vice President Harris's speech? Now let's put this in context. Let Intercontinental Ifa Tunde put this in context. Toronto, Canada, October 5th and 6th, pull-up season. Toronto, Canada, October 5th and 6th, pull-up season. Toronto, Canada, October 5th and 6th, pull-up season. Melbourne and Sydney, Australia, the date will be dropping soon. Melbourne and Sydney, Australia, the date will be dropping soon. My Australian Africans, God willing, I will see you before the year ends, completing my continental sweep, the first scholar of modern time to be invited to speak on every continent in the world at least twice. History will be made in Melbourne and Sydney, Australia. History will be made in Melbourne or Sydney, Australia. But the 4 themes that came out in Vice President Harris's speech, and mind you, she did not write the speech. The white power structure does not leave speech writing to the politicians for president. Let us be clear. She did not write the speech. She gave the speech. So when you're analyzing and evaluating, when you're trying to understand, overstand, and understand Vice President Harris's words, you have to think about the power structure who wrote the speech, the messages they wanted to give to the American people, and the messages, more importantly, that they did not want to give to the American African people. Let me say that again. Shout out to the Virgos. I understand we in Virgo season, but I'm still rocking my Leo colors. Michelle Obama is not a candidate for president. Like I said, presidential candidates do not write their own speeches when it comes to speaking at their respective parties' national convention. Please improve your listening comprehension skills. Please improve your listening comprehension skills. Please improve your listening comprehension skills. So what were the messages that the white power structure put into Vice President Harris's speech? A couple of messages. Number 1, immigrants are the future of America. That's number 1. Oh, yes. People of color are the future of America. People of color does not include black. People of color is a code word that we're talking to all non-black people of color. So that's number 1. People of color are not included in the future. People of color are the future of America. American Africans are not. People of color are the future of America, but American Africans are not. Didn't you find how strategically they played to black people? They had a black anchor. They had a black band. They had Al Sharpton. They had my beautiful sister, Kerry Washington, who's a fabulous orator. A fabulous orator, but a Democratic Party plantation slave nonetheless, but a fabulous orator. They had D.L. Hughley come on out there. They had the Central Park Five come on out there. They played to black people's emotions very well. They played to black people's emotions very well. They played to black people's emotions very well, but they strategically and effectively did not discuss black people at all. Are you feeling me? Where my deep thinkers at? This is a message for deep thinking Africans. Emotional plantation party members, get off the feed right now. This is not a conversation for Democratic Party plantation slaves. This is a conversation for independent African thinkers. This is a live for independent African thinkers. If you are not an independent African thinker, you don't want to hear this message. If you are not an independent African thinker, you don't want to hear this message. If you are not an independent African thinker, you don't want to hear this message. The imagery was all for black people. The imagery was all for black people. The imagery was all for black people. The messages were completely devoid of anything relevant to black people. They used the imagery to appeal to Africans. The message was completely irrelevant to American Africans. Kind of reminds me of the last Transformers movie. It kind of reminds me of the last Transformers movie where they played hip hop music throughout the whole movie. Rise of the Beasts. Rise of the Beast. They played all black hip hop music in the last Transformers movie, but the main character was a person of color. The main character was a person of color. There were almost no black people in the movie. The sidekick sister was in the movie. The beautiful African sister was in the movie, but outside of her, there were hardly any black people in Transformers, but they played hip hop music through the whole movie. So if you are not a deep thinker, you will think Transformers had a bunch of black actors, but it only had one black actor, but they played hip hop music. The Democratic National Convention, they used black music. They played Beyonce. They had a black band. They had Al Sharpton, D.L. Hughley, the Central Park Five. But no messages for black people in Kamala Harris's speech. No messages for black people in Kamala Harris's speech. No messages for black people in Kamala Harris's speech. What you